Good adventures, everybody. I'm Melissa Bonzak, and welcome to episode 40 of Books Cubed, the show where I chat with the indie authors that you should be reading. It is Thursday, August 22nd, 2019, and I have been in and out a little bit. You may have noticed that I think the last 6 weeks I've done just every other show, and I had a family emergency out of town, and I think I'm back now. So let's get right to talking about books. Let's see, what are you reading? Let me know. I'm dying to know what you're reading. Drop down to the show notes and click on the link. If you're listening to the podcast, pull your car over right now and click on that link and tell me what you are reading. I am looking for stuff to read always, and I read every genre, so it doesn't matter what you're reading. I want to hear about it, especially if they're indie authors. Let's see, what am I reading? Thank you for asking. I am, let's see, on audio, I am listening, let's see, I'm well into book 2 of the Empty Body series by Zach Bohannon, and I will finish that soon, I'm sure. I think my phone is ringing. It goes into my ears. Yeah, I had something, sorry, I had something happen in my ears. I wear cochlear implants, and audio from my phone goes directly into my ears, and it did something. Anyway, so I don't want to start over again, so I'm just going to continue. Like I said, I am listening to Zach Bohannon, and if you like zombies, you will love this book. They're great characters, and I'm going to have him on as soon as I finish book 3, because I want to talk about the first 3 books. Let's see, in paperback, I just finished Hipster Death Rattle, and I'm going to be talking with the author today in just a few seconds. And I am continuing to read in the series of, Grant Wolves by Laurie Drake. And let's see what else. I'm trying to, off the top of my head, to get titles right, and I'm not going to. So, and my ears keep clicking. Something's happening on my phone, and I keep hearing this clicking noise to hook my ear into my phone, and then it stops again. So I don't know what's going on. Let's just get to the show. So let's get right to it. I will see you afterward. All right, I am here with Richie, and I'm going to say his last name wrong, even though I asked him. No, Narvaez. Oh, jeepers creepers.
That's okay.
Narvaez.
That's great. That's great.
Is that good? Okay. My name, last name being Bonzak. Nobody gets it right. My husband was in the military. He was a flyer. So the first time he busted a check right, he was marked busted check for a long time, which he was not happy about. Anyway, I'm going to read your bio real quick.
Okay.
Richie was born and raised in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. He's the author of Roach Killer and Other Stories, which received the 2013 Spine Tingler Award for Best Anthology Short Story Collection. His work has appeared in Hit List, The Best of Latino Mystery, Latinate Rising, an anthology of science fiction and fantasy, Long Island Noir, Mississippi Review, Murderland, Pilgrimage, love that, Shotgun Honey, and Tiny Crimes, very short tales of mystery and murder. He teaches writing at Fashion Institute of Technology in Manhattan and lives with his wife in the Bronx. Hipster Death Rattle is his first novel. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Melissa.
Oh, I'm so excited. And you had, we had chatted some on Instagram, and the day that you contacted me, I was like, I had fingers to the keyboard, ready to ask you if you wanted to come on the show, because I had the best time reading your novel. And we're talking, and I don't have a copy because it's on ebook, but do you have a copy you can hold up? So if you are on, there you go, Hipster Death Rattle. If you are on video, or if you're just listening, make sure that you go and click on the links at the end of the show. They'll be in the notes, and take a look at his cover. It is amazing, and you will love the book. At home, I walk around with a book or walk around with my Kindle, and I know the path. I can not take my nose out of my book, and I can walk into my kitchen, and I can get a cup of tea. I can cook it, I can doctor it, I can go back, and I can never look out of my book and I don't bump into walls, and I don't have an issue because I know my house. So I've been in someone else's house off and on for the last month. I've bumped into so many walls because I read your book while I was there.
Thank you.
I could not put it down. I had the best time reading it. And I found you I was on Instagram, and there's somebody there that they'll tell people, go ahead and list your book and write in one line about your book and whatever. And the title just got me. I love the title. So was the title yours, or did your editor do that to you?
Oh, I came up with the title years ago. I wanted to write about the subject, and I wanted something slightly controversial and certainly eye-catching, something that would be, that would draw people right in. And something not too traditional mystery. I mean, it's slightly a pun thing going on there, or just a playing with words. But and always with mystery titles have death or murder in them somewhere, so there's enough of a cue there. But it's slightly mixed up. I liked it, and I thought it was interesting enough, and it seems to have worked. I'm glad it drew you in to read the book, and you were very nice about it on Instagram.
Oh, I loved it. I could not put it down. And I love when I can't put a book down. And I read constantly. I mean, since I could stand, I'm one of those voracious readers, and I read everything. It doesn't matter what the subject is. I will read whatever. I love historical novels. I've discovered I like romance, and I feel weird saying that, and I shouldn't.
There's nothing
It's
wrong
a
with that.
stigma. There's a stigma about romance, and there shouldn't be, because romance can be wonderful. But I love everything. I love historical. I can read. I was reading Stephen Hawking's, a couple of different of his books, and it's like, don't understand a word of it, but I can say I read them. I read it. I sat down and did it. And but anyway, so let's get to the book itself. So I love this book. I love that they kept the title. I love the cover art. Your cover artist.
Thank you.
Shout out and an applause to your cover artist. It's beautiful. Love the cover.
JT Lindroos. I gave him the general idea of what I wanted, because we wanted something a little cartoony, because I didn't want people to take the title completely seriously, and make it think it was some sort of screed about killing hipsters. It's supposed to be tongue in cheek, and we had to, he and I worked together closely to try to really carry that idea over it. And it's nice. It makes a great T-shirt too.
Oh, do you have T-shirts?
Yes, we have T-shirts.
Oh, fantastic.
I'll send you a link.
I need a T-shirt. Yeah, so I'll have the link in the show notes, everybody. Oh, fantastic. Did you want to read a little bit of it for everybody today?
Sure. So this is from chapter 46.
Okay.
When the protagonist, Tony Moran, is really in trouble. They've kidnapped him, and they put him on a roof in Queens, so he doesn't know that. Chapter 46. Tony thought he knew what it was to be hot. He thought he knew what hot was as a kid, sharing a bed with his brother on August nights with no AC in a small room. He thought the Union Square subway station in July was hot, when the platform gets overcrowded and sour as rotten milk. And he thought he knew what hot was at the club he went to once, where he felt like he was dancing in a sauna. He went to the bathroom and practically showered in the sink, and when he got out, his date had evaporated. That was real heat in action. But none of that was hot. He had never known hot before now. Sweat rolled off of him, soaking his t-shirt and shorts. His sneakers felt wet all the way through. As soon as he thought the goons who had dumped him there had gone, Tony yelled for help. Hey, guy stuck on a roof here. Hello, help already. Want me to continue? Or is
yes,
that
please. Yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
yeah.
Yes.
But the sound of his own muffled voice bit into his ears, and his throat went dry. He tried to wiggle the plastic restraints off his legs. His sweat gave him enough lubrication to get his left shoe and sock off. It took a very long time. But the restraints remained. He decided to take a break and contemplate a barrel of iced coffee poured over his head and with a straw. Either was fine. How long does it take to die of thirst? 3 days, 5 days, 3 to 5 days? He would trade that bucket of iced coffee for a chance to Google confirm. Tony wiggled his legs some more, and the restraints dug into his flesh. In frustration, he pushed hard, slicing off a long piece of flesh. Damn! No pain, no pain, no pain. Tony had figured out why he was there. The answer was obvious. Jackie Tomasello and or Elias Lipvenchuk. This was a stupid, bogus mafia BS, kidnapping, stupid, bullying, threatening, garbage thing, and it seemed straight up her alley. She had threatened him. Litvinchuk had been less cartoony, had offered him a bribe. Was it Tony's refusal to take a bribe that got him up here? It didn't matter. They had done their job. He was done with the whole Rosa Irizarry case, done trying to play intrepid reporter, even in the half-assed way he had been doing it. He wanted instead to swim inside a vat of ice cream. Is that good?
That's good. That's good.
Yes.
That's great. I
Thank
love how you put words together.
Thank you.
There was one, I mean, I kept highlighting the book and I finally had to stop because, you know, it was just a long highlight, but there's one phrase, I'm trying to get back to I took a picture of it because I was going to write it down. Okay, this guy he wants a taxi ride home, but he doesn't have any money. But his wallet echoed with emptiness and there was no train or bus going in that direction. That is a great line.
Thank you.
I love that. So you have got this book out, and I love all the accolades you've got. I mean, Sarah Paretsky.
Yes, I was very happy with that. I met her years
it.
ago. Yes, and she was very nice to remember who I was, and she was generous enough to give me a great blurb.
That was pretty impressive. And there's so many other bestsellers that have given you blurbs and really loved your book. And it's great. I got to ask before I forget, will we see Tony in another book?
I don't know. Well, you finished the book and you see how crabby Tony is. And I kind of get the feeling that Tony doesn't want me to write about him again. I hate to think of characters. It always sounds weird when an author talks like that, but I kind of feel like he would resist it. But I actually do have an idea for a second book with Tony.
You know, I don't think it would be good unless Tony was dragged against his will.
Yes.
Because he gets involved in a disappearance and he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to be investigating it. Heck, he doesn't even want to be a reporter, it feels like.
Yeah.
He just wants to go to the park and play the ball game. How do you pronounce the game that he plays?
Petanque, which is like, bocce?
Yes.
Yes, it's just like bocce, but it's a French version with slightly different rules. But yeah, that's all he wants to do. Because in a sense, the subtext of it is that Tony is a hipster himself.
Yes.
And he just wants to, but he won't never admit that kind of thing. But wants to just like casually go through life, not taking anything too seriously, like being a half-assed reporter. Like even in the instance when he's stuck there on the roof, he's like, whatever, okay, fine. You kidnap me, I'm done with this whole thing. But yeah, if he gets involved in the next case, yes, it would have to be kicking and screaming to get drawn in.
Yes, definitely kicking and screaming. And just from reading the book, if I hadn't read your bio, I would have said that you were a lifelong New Yorker because you know, though you talk about the grit of the city, it felt like a love letter to the city, you know, the city that you love. And even though Tony and these characters live in these horrible apartments and there's just this horrible gritty side of the city, they don't leave.
Yeah.
You know, they really I think they truly love where they are despite how difficult it is.
I think it's the typical New Yorker's love-hate relationship with the city. I think of it as the greatest city in the world, but every day as I travel through it, I grumble to myself about the smell, the crowds, the overdevelopment, the lack of care from the government, the prices of everything. But at the same time, I can't imagine living anywhere else. And I think a lot of other New Yorkers are just like that. It's like, this stupid city, damn it. But at the same time, it's like, where else would I go?
Yeah. And I totally understand that. I used to live in Key West and I would still live there if I could afford it. But despite the hurricanes and despite being in the middle of nowhere, we always joke that it was in close proximity to the United States because you just don't feel like you're part of the US. You're closer to Cuba than you are a Walmart.
Wow. I want to go to the Keys.
Yeah,
really badly before they get flooded and float away. You know.
that's the other reason that we thought about, going back and buying, and we're like, no, I mean, we got to watch the next few hurricane seasons,
Yeah.
but it just feels like there's going to be nothing left.
Yeah.
If you're in the Keys, get out now, because
No.
it's I just see the rising tides are going to take away most of it.
Yeah.
Most of it is bridges anyway, that you have
Right.
to go through
Those
these
big ones.
bridges to get there. I don't
Yeah.
know, there's 100 and something bridges. I can't remember how many, but
Wow.
my husband remembers. He remembers all those details.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But
Yeah.
yeah. Well, so I was reading this, and I'm so close. I'm in New Jersey, so I'm
Ah.
so close to New York, and we had a couple of extra days, and I'm researching for an upcoming book, and so I had to go to some of the places around to do the research for that, and I had to go to the U.S. Mint and some things like that. And
Oh.
that
Okay.
was so much fun. But we did get to Ellis Island and the Statue of Liberty, so I kind of looked across and waved to New York. It was over there, um, but I couldn't quite get. But I kind of felt like I was there while reading the book.
Have you been to Brooklyn before at all?
I don't think so. I don't think
Okay.
so. My family had a home in somewhere in New York, and I want to say they at one point they owned a lot of the area,
Okay.
but that was a long time ago. Long time ago. Um, but then they had a house up in the mountains in New York.
Okay.
I don't
Upstate?
think somewhere upstate. Yeah. So we used to
Okay.
go to there all the time. But I finally went for the first time to New York, April, like 2, 3 years ago. And that was my
Okay.
first time
Oh.
getting into the city. And
Oh.
that was
Okay.
that was really exciting. We rode the
Okay.
subway. It was very exciting. We got
Yes.
on the wrong subway, and so then we go up the stairs and we asked the person behind the glass partition which one we need to go to, and they looked at us like, "I will kill you if you continue to talk to me." And they went
That's
back to
yes.
whatever they were doing. Yeah,
That's
it was.
normal. You get
Yeah.
the full treatment. That's exactly what they do. I think they do that. They have classes for that to teach them how to react to tourists. Don't smile. We don't want them to think it's a different town. Make sure to close the glass and just ignore them. That's to give the tourists the right treatment, or else they won't feel they're getting their money's worth.
Yeah, really. But I was sad that I didn't see anybody on the subway with a
Oh,
dog in a bag.
oh,
For a while there, everywhere you looked, there were pictures of people riding the subway, and I guess there was some law where if your dog had to fit in a bag,
oh,
and
yes.
so
That's right.
all these people with these huge dogs in odd bags that they would carry around,
Yeah.
and so I was really hoping to see something like that. Now we were in Philadelphia also, so I
Okay.
kind of felt like I was sort of in a city. We rode the subway a lot,
I love
and we were
Philly.
in a
Yeah.
grittier area
Hmm.
for part of it. So as I was reading the book, I'm like, okay, yeah, so I can kind of relate to what's going on here because I kind of feel like I'm there. Kind of. Okay, so you don't just have this book. You
Right.
have like a really long list of poems and essays and short stories. So you've been writing for a long time.
Yeah, I'm up there in years, and but I've been writing ever since fifth grade. But I've been getting published since my 20s, and I've been very fortunate to get some people like my stuff. Some at publishers seem to enjoy my stuff. But yeah, I've been writing like crazy, and I have, as you mentioned earlier, a book of short stories called Roach Killer and Other Stories. That's like some of my earliest published work, and I have another one coming out next year of short stories that will come out in June called
Oh, good.
Noir Eurekan.
What's it called again?
Noir Eurekan. You know the term New Eurekan?
No.
Well, it's a New York-born Puerto Rican.
Oh,
So New
okay.
Eurekan, it's very 60s. And I'm taking noir and putting it in there. Again, trying to get a title that is interesting enough for people to go, what the hell is that? And pick it up.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I have a series I'm writing in the first book. The prequel is called How to Bungle Your Jungle.
Oh, and
The
then the
first
sex
book,
with the
the
snake
first
thing,
book is called How to Sex Your Snake.
right?
The book that I'm writing right now is called How to Square Your Grouper. And
Oh,
the next book after that is something along the lines of how to boost your rocket, something like that.
mm,
So yeah, and it's the same thing I was told that, oh no, you can't have this title because nobody's going to know what it's about.
right,
But people never forget it.
right.
Never. And so that's something, it's that trade-off, you know?
Right. Yeah. There's you don't want it to be too cliche.
Mhm.
Like I was saying before, like there's so many murder mysteries have the same type of it's either a famous some idiom that they're turning on, like sudden death, maximum overdrive, things like this that draw you in, but that are instantly familiar already. And I'd like to do things that are on the cusp of the familiar, but take it in a slightly different way, maybe quirky. And I like yours. Yours is it's great. It's got an the thing about having a series is they need to have that parallelism,
Yeah.
so that when people see it, like, oh, there she's at it again, and
Yeah.
it's going to be similar but different and something new, which is what people want. They want they that's why they like series. You
Yeah.
know, they want, it's like watching a TV show. They want to come back to the next book and like, oh, it's more of the same, but it's a little bit different. And that's part of this game. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. We like the familiar. It's why
Yeah.
we binge shows. It's why we
Yes.
sit and I'm guilty of that, where I won't watch a show until it's been out for a couple of years, and then I will binge 2 or 3 seasons, or because so often it used to be that everything I loved would get canceled. No,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it would
I know
go
what you
2 shows or 1 show or whatever, and they would cancel. Be like, oh man, and I
mean.
wasted, an hour every night, every Friday night or whatever on that show, and now it's gone. And which is probably why we have such a huge. There's so many people that write fan fiction.
Yes.
You want to continue that, like you said, that relationship with the familiar. You want to have those characters with you and continue with them. And so
Yeah.
you just do it yourself. Yeah,
I
and
think
and
a lot of that starts with Star Trek. When they canceled Star Trek, that had such a potential. It was so sad that it got canceled. That's where you get a flood of fan fiction for Star Trek, and and slash fiction part of that as well. That just sort of keeps going, and then the more every genre show seems to generate, even the worst genre show will have
yeah.
somebody is a big fan of that show and is writing fan fiction about it. I don't know what that is, but people with genre, people get really involved and they want to see more of it that can possibly be made on TV, and so they
Yeah.
generate their own, sometimes with erotic undertones or something.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, I had a friend who used to write slash. Yeah, and it was, I don't know, it was. I get kind of giggly anyway with the romance, so it's. And my mother keeps saying to me, "Why don't you write romance? I want stories with love." And I said, "I just get too giggly reading them." I
Yeah.
said, "I don't think I could sit and write them." No, I do enjoy reading them, but it's like I just get too giggly. I'm not a good match for that. I prefer things where somebody kills a cast of 10,000. So,
Yes.
that's always my favorite things. I like action adventure, and I like death, and I like black humor and all that. And which I don't have any of that in my lighthearted, cozy series, that I'm currently writing.
You
But I
get
do in
you
the
get
back burner. I have
1,000
sci-fi,
people.
so
Yeah. Oh, you are working on something with
I
sci-fi?
do have a sci-fi series that I'm going to write
Okay.
with probably under a pen name, because I'm told
Okay.
that if you write in one thing, the public doesn't understand it if you write a different thing also. And I thought the public's pretty smart. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know about that, especially once you've built up your brand. I mean, yes, people may say, oh, she's just a cozy writer and that's what I want. And then you will have some fans that you will disappoint. On
Yeah,
the other hand, you can have some fans who are like, oh, cool, I like sci-fi as well. And I already know this woman as a writer. I'm going to go there on a journey with her and check this stuff out. I think it's up to you and what you want, how strong you feel your brand is, and how much you communicate with your fans, because you could just ask them, you know,
that's true. Yeah,
what do you
yeah.
guys think if I did this?
Yeah, yeah. So I was reading that you are going to be at, oh, now I've forgotten. I've lost the page now.
Oh,
You're
okay.
going to be at
I've got a few things coming up.
yeah, you've got something coming up in September.
Uh-huh. I'm going to be I'm going to do a noir at the bar. I'm going to also do something at Sisters in Crime.
Maybe
I'll
it
be,
was Sisters in Crime that
I'll
sounded
be
so
doing a
cool.
panel. Yes, yeah. Oh, they're
Yes,
great.
tell everybody about that.
So, Sisters in Crime is an organization. For those of you who don't know, it was created, I think, in the late '80s or '90s, sort of as an answer to the very masculine atmosphere over at the Mystery Writers of America, which has since been mitigated to an extent. But so the Sisters in Crime, it's a national organization, maybe international, maybe Canadian, but they're very good. They have these meetings in these chapters all over the country. The one I'm going to be at is the Tri-State New York Sisters in Crime chapter. It will be on September 19th, at a library, Vanderbilt Library in New York City, in Greenwich Village. I will have the information on my website, and the panel will be about bold new voices in crime fiction. And one of the things that my book seems to have touched on, and other people are working on this idea too, is to use crime fiction not just strictly for entertainment, but to try to use it for to say things about social issues, just to raise awareness. Maybe not to change anybody's mind, but just to these underlying situations that are happening in the world. This is not a new thing. Even Agatha Christie was talking about gentrification in some of her books. And if you watch Midsummer Mysteries, every third episode is about how a new development sucks, is changing the village. But I think it just seems to be a growing trend that a lot of us are trying to do. And also, there's an increasing amount of diversity. Anybody who's followed crime fiction for the last 50 years knows that it's been fairly, for want of another word, monochromatic and very masculine. And it's been finally changing. Sarah Paretsky was one of the pioneers. And it's been moving in a nice, more diverse direction, just so that there's more people to hear from. So this is what the panel is going to be about, and it'll be fun. And then we all go have dinner afterwards.
Oh, nice,
yes.
nice. I like that. Oh, I wish I was going to be in the area. Well, if I have to go back up to that same area, I'll try to coordinate it so I can go. Can the public come, or do you have to be a
Yes.
member?
No, you do not have to be a member. They love having the public there. We will usually have books available to sell as well.
Oh, nice. That's always good. I always going and listening to panels, especially when the authors or the filmmakers or whoever will talk afterwards about their process, about what brings them to write this in the first place. So are you on a subway one day and you just see one too many hipsters blocking the path because they're on their headphones and they're not paying attention and they're taking up too much seat space? What makes you decide that you need to take a machete to a few of them?
Well, it's a good question. So I was born and raised in Williamsburg, and it was a very blue collar neighborhood when I was growing up. And then when I got back after college, I moved there, and I was still where my family was still there. I noticed that the neighborhood started to change, and neighborhoods change. That's normal, but there were some hipsters, and it was just very interesting. It's like, and it felt weird. Like, oh, did they get off on the wrong train? What are they doing here? But then I started to see a growing amount of them. But what really becomes disturbing is when, like, the Corner Bodega all of a sudden goes out of business. There's a new coffee shop, but wow, those prices are really incredible. Those are Manhattan prices.
Yeah.
And that change is more of a sort of a corporate-led developers-led kind of thing. It's not the one thing that I don't want people to read the book or look at the cover of the book and think the hipsters are really the villains. They're just sort of pawns in a game from the rich that come in to see this neighborhood. They just see the potential, and they just want to get this land is good. There's just poor people there. Let's just get them out because we can make so much money off developing this. And this was happening while I was living there. The neighborhood was being developed and then overdeveloped, and that just made all this bile and anger come out of me. I don't know if you experienced that. Maybe something was like that was happening in Key West or something. But
yeah. I mean, we heard that all the time. You're a conk if you were born there. I think if you were born there, or if you've lived there 7 years.
Yeah.
And maybe both. But anyway, but yeah, a lot of people angry that people were coming in and, the cheap t-shirt shops that sell, 3 t-shirts for $10 kind of thing, tacky sayings on the t-shirts, and the whole that whole Duval Street kind of went downhill.
Yeah.
Though I love it. I mean, I love it in all its form that it currently is. So I'm
Right.
probably part of the problem. But the people who'd lived there a long time really didn't like all the cruise ships coming in, and
Yes.
all of the, the college students come during spring break. And so we get about 5, sometimes 6 weeks of college students, different rounds of college students, and they don't clean up after themselves. They go out to the beach and they leave trash everywhere. And it
Yes.
would just, and so, once we started living there and became residents of Key West, it really bothered me. People picking up our chickens. Don't pick up our chickens. You may take pictures, but don't pick them up. First
Wow.
off, it's rude to pick the chicken up, and he's
Yes.
got a huge claw there on his leg, which he will cut you up with.
Right.
And second off, you're bothering them, so just leave
Don't
the
bother
chickens
my
alone.
chickens.
Yes.
Yes.
Don't bother. We
Yeah.
love our chickens. Well, actually,
Yeah.
the locals hate the chickens, but
Oh.
some of them love them. I don't know. And I love, it's funny. I was at the
Right.
courthouse one day and taking pictures of the chickens for a friend who's a painter. And this guy says to me, "We locals hate them." And I said, "Oh, I'm local too, and I love them." He kind of looked at me like, "Oh," but I know exactly what you're saying, though. About them coming in the neighborhood changing,
Yeah.
and especially when you've got, 4, 5, 6 generations that have lived in this neighborhood
Right.
for eons, and then all of
Yeah.
a sudden you've got people coming in and changing the feel of the neighborhood so they
Right.
can try to get, squeeze some cash out of it and then
Right.
edge you out. And
Right.
that comes in because part of it in the book is they're wondering if this woman has disappeared because they want her apartment to be able to raise the rent. So,
Right.
there's that issue too. I'm sure that does happen to people.
Yes, all the time, all the time. Well, just that whole sort of basic displacement in general, without kidnapping and murder. Yeah, that happens all the time. People, suspicious fires, or they stop with heat and hot water, anything, or just stop the water just to basically force people out. In this case, in the book, the woman is kidnapped. She's living in a rent-controlled apartment, and that's like gold. That needs to be harvested by the developers. But
Yes.
yeah, it's just to get back to what we were saying before, what inspired me. So this was happening and I wanted to do something about it. And I didn't really feel that there was anything I could do. And I did try to write a straight literary novel about it. And it wasn't coming together. But when I put the crime element in it, there's a crime fiction, as you know, it has a certain structure.
Yeah.
And that gives you freedom within it, because then you don't have to worry about the flow through so much of the plot, because it's sort of the reader's coming with a lot of their own expectations, and they're going to see some threads and they're going to fill in quite a bit. It gives you some freedom to play with character and theme, I think, a little bit, especially for me to finishing my first mystery. It helped quite a bit, and let me have some freedom to say something about this issue that was filling me with anger and bile.
Yeah. Do you feel better now having written it?
No, not at all. I think a little bit, but it's still there. I go back to the old neighborhood and I'm like, what the hell? And it just gives me agita. It just,
Yeah.
I don't know if it ever go away. Part of it is, I think, just learning to live with that kind of change, that sort of corporatization, commercialization of our lives, and then just enjoy where I live in the Bronx now, which reminds me very much like Brooklyn used to be. It's a very mixed neighborhood, still very blue collar, a lot of small stores, quiet, not hip in any way. And I like that. And I'm sure in a few years it may get gentrified too. The way the city's becoming very much like a feudal system, New York City. But we'll see.
See, well, I don't want to talk politics, but I'm just surprised at how liberal New York seems to feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. It didn't feel that way when my family
Oh,
were very conservative, and so it just feels like just some of the things I see in the news with them, things that you see. I don't want to get into politics at all, but it just every now and then I said to my husband, God, I wonder just how liberal New York has really gotten, because it really
Oh,
feels like it's changed from the very conservative uh, place that I remember hearing about. I spent the first 12 years in Boston. So we had, we lived in right across from Logan International Airport
oh,
on Sargent Street in Winthrop. So if you're in Winthrop, the very last house on the street, right by the water there, we lived on the water. It was a little 2-story house that had apartments on the bottom and the top. And, you go down and it was the little grocery store. It was an Italian neighborhood, I think, because I remember all these ladies squeezing my cheeks, little bambina. It's like my earliest memories of let go of my
that's
face.
nice.
Yes. And, the grocery store, there's just I love the little city grocery stores, and you've got all the fruits and vegetables out front, and you've
Yeah,
got the stuff inside. And it just, I don't know, it feels very personal.
yeah,
It just and I think about that a lot, that I really miss that feel. So I think if I'd continued to live there, and if you had developers coming in, I think I would feel the same way you do, that very upset that my world is being changed so that somebody else can benefit from it, and just kick
yeah,
me out. Yeah.
yeah. I think it's not just happening. I mean, I think Brooklyn and Williamsburg are sort of a case study for the United States. I think it's as worse as gentrification can get. It's happening. It's happened in Williamsburg, but it's happening all over the country. Any place that some corporation can come in and get cheap housing. Um, Amazon if they want to develop the whole area, yeah, they'll just make a deal with the local government. Local government will be sure take all this, and then we'll figure out something to do with all the poor people who live there now, who we didn't give a damn about. We're
Yeah.
just going to find a way to gently, not so gently, get rid of them. And it's a trend because of I think this commercialization that we're dealing with in our society. But I mean, I'm glad uh, I did get to write about it, and I don't know if it make a difference, but I think it helps. It helps to have. It makes me feel slightly better to talk about, and to
Mhm.
talk to other people about. Maybe not, it doesn't completely cure the wound, but it's a nice Band-Aid.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a fun story too.
Thank you.
They're great characters. And how do you pronounce his girlfriend? Is it Magali?
Oh, Magali.
Magali. I knew I was
Magali.
going to say it
Yeah,
wrong.
that's all right.
Can't be Magali. That's just terrible.
Yeah.
Magali. That's beautiful name. I'm so
Thank
sorry.
you.
Anyone named I think it's an offshoot of Marguerite. Margarita.
Yes, I think so. It's just another variation of that. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful name. And I love. I just love all the characters are great.
Thank
Uh,
you.
and it took me in places that I did not expect it to go. So as you read the book, you are not just going to sit back and be spoon-fed something. You have to kind of think a little, and it takes you, like I said, places you do not expect to go. Now, I do we hear something?
Oh, there's like I'm since I'm in the middle of Manhattan right now. There's a whole bunch of sirens going on all the
Oh,
time. Yeah.
I thought sounds like an
I'm at
owl.
the wonderful offices of FIT, and yeah, there's like I think there's some sort of not a fire engine, uh,
Oh no.
but there is some, or maybe an ambulance going by. It happens. This is in Manhattan.
It's the city, yeah. So it's going to be noisy,
Yeah.
which is actually kind of nice. I don't like being out in the middle of nowhere.
Oh
And
yes.
yeah, and I get to the city, and I really felt, even in Philadelphia, not
Mhm.
that it's a bad place, but it's kind of the area we were was kind of sketchy.
Yeah.
But it was I really liked it. I liked the city. I liked the feel. I liked all the people around.
Yeah.
It just, I liked the noise of it.
Yes, I prefer a little noise when I go to sleep. Not too much country wilderness and crickets or insects outside. It creeps me out a little bit when there's nothing out there. There's nothing. There's just woods. Anything can happen. Probably
Yeah.
from watching too many horror movies. Anything's out there. I don't know
Yeah,
what it
it's like, yeah, it's like, where was I? We were someplace the other day, and my husband and I were out for a walk in New Jersey, and it's the middle of nowhere, and it's beautiful. No, Jersey gets a bad rep for being, dirty and whatever, but that's from the turnpike. If you get away
Yeah.
from the turnpike and get out into the city, it is beautiful,
Yes.
beautiful. So we're out and there's like deer and there's these houses and it's just, the houses are like half mile away from the road. They're way back. And I said, my husband's all, this is gorgeous. And I'm thinking, this is the beginning of a horror novel.
Yes. Running
So
away from one house while there's somebody well, actually that's the way writers' minds work. You know, other people might think, how pretty, I'd love to take a picture. And writers like us are thinking, well, if someone was running from a killer, they'd have a long way to go across that field. Would anybody help them? Would, you know, how would they be able to make it? Is there anything in there? You know, you'd already be plotting. And it's a constant thing. Your brain doesn't shut off from that kind of stuff.
No. You know, with all the deer out there, you got to worry about them turning on you and eating the population. So
yes,
they're big. They're big deer.
They're big. Let's hope they don't arm themselves.
Oh, God, really. Okay, so I want more of Tony.
Okay.
So you gotta, Tony, even though you feel like Tony may not want to be back, he has to be dragged. Because, you know, if you want, you know, and think about this, if he wanted you to do something with him, it wouldn't turn out well.
Right. Oh, that's yes.
It would not, because he would be a participant and Tony is not a participant.
Yes.
He wants to be on the sidelines, you know, like you said, with the just playing in the park and just not having to worry about life, you know?
Yeah.
So,
he wants to take it easy. And I think it sort of speaks to a lot of us, you know, we don't really want to deal with so much of the angst in the world and also having to work and everything, having to pay bills. And he's trying to skate along. He's very much a slacker hipster. But he's just trying to skate along at the minimum amount of existence. But part of the problem that Magali's calling him on is he's getting old for this. And you've got to eventually, everyone's going to have to say, this is the side I'm picking on, and this is the side I'm going to fight for. And he's pushed into that. And maybe that'll happen more in a second book. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, play with that some. But you don't want to make him too compliant.
No.
You know? No. You want some kicking, you want some screaming, you want some feet dragging. So that definitely. Oh, I know what else I was going to ask you. I saw in your bio that you said your brother used to write and you felt a competition. So is your brother a writer?
Oh, no, actually. It's funny. I think it was about 5th grade. He was writing stories about, for extra credit for school. And I was like, well, if he can get extra credit, and what the stories he was writing was basically like Scooby-Doo adventures. Yeah. And he would just rewrite them or put them in his own voice. And I was like, well, I could do that. And he's my older brother, so I was in constant competition with him. We were writing both of us were writing. But then about, I guess, 6th grade for him, 7th grade, he really got into baseball and sports. And that was his thing. And for me, I was like, I'm sticking with this. Yeah. This is what I like. And so no, he went in a different direction. He works for UPS and he's a very happy man.
Oh, well, that's good. I was wondering if there was still competition story-wise, but no.
Well,
okay.
Brothers are always going to be competitive, but not in that way. Yeah.
Not in that way. Okay, that's good. I suppose that's good. You know, you look at good example from the Beatles, McCartney and Lennon. Once they broke up, they didn't have that competition. And I think that their songs weren't as good when they went their separate ways. Their best writing were the years that they were together and in competition with each other. Mm-hmm. So sometimes a little competition is a good thing.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, well, I'm always slightly in competition with myself, and then with everybody else, I want to be just as good as that person, or I want a book like that. Let me see if I can get something as interesting, stuff like that. Yeah. There's a competition element with the genre and with the writing world, trying to get the best Amazon reviews, get the best social media, and it's all very awful and tiresome, but it's also a game at the same time.
Yes. You know? Yes, it is tiresome. I agree 100%. You know, I keep going for different things that I try, and I always come back to this. I thoroughly enjoy chatting with authors, and I mean, this is the fun thing. This is fun to me.
That's great.
This fun, I think I'll always continue to keep coming back to. So see, I even bought a refrigerator just for my office. See,
That refrigerator is amazing. I
my
love that thing.
refrigerator. Yeah,
Yes.
it's retro. I
Yeah.
forget. It's like from the 50s, or it looks like it's from like the 50s. But I
It's a
remember,
real working refrigerator.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
that what
all my
you
soda's in there.
said?
It's full of soda and grapes.
Oh, that's okay. Good. I thought you might keep bodies in there because it looks big enough to you can throw a
Oh,
body
actually, it probably is. Yeah, it's like I think it's like 5.5 feet tall, something like
in.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But we have 4 people living in the house.
Okay.
A couple of my kids came home, so for a moment, for just quickly for a couple months. So it's like no room in the refrigerator. I said to my
Oh,
husband, I could use a refrigerator. I said I could put it in my office. And then when I was looking at the catalog, I said, oh my God, there's a red one. I love red.
it's
So
beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
yeah, it's
It
great.
matches
And
the retro of your microphone.
yes, it kind of does. Yeah, this
Yeah,
is
you got retro. Now you have to redesign the whole office.
I
And
know, I know, I know. And on the wall behind me are all of my postcards from Disney World.
oh, okay.
So we are near Disney World, and my husband loves Disney World. So we go often. We're going next week. We go
And you've got
often.
the robot from Lost in Space.
Yes, my robot from Lost in Space. Yeah. Yeah, I love him. I need to put new batteries in him because I think they're
So
dead.
yeah,
Yeah, because
yeah.
otherwise he does his arms and he goes around, and I think there's a couple settings, and he goes all around the room and stuff.
Oh, cool.
So I think if I recall, I don't think I've had batteries in it in a long time.
Oh, okay.
He's been behind something, and I actually was cleaning something today, and I said, oh my God, one of my kids has been using the computer and the desk on this side. And so everything was hidden behind. Yeah, everything was hidden behind the screen. I know. I do the same thing. I'm like leaning, and it's a
Yeah.
picture. You can't lean around a picture. And so, yeah. So behind the screen is all kinds of stuff, and that I used to have on my
Okay.
desk. Um, every time I go to a new house, I have this long strip of things that I've accumulated, and they sit with me and
Yeah,
such. But yeah, my science fiction, my love of science fiction. I love
that's great.
robots and all that good stuff. So anyway, and I'm gotten us way off the subject. So sorry, everybody. And
No,
I'm
I was
always
gonna
like,
say,
I gotta stop
get
talking.
get a retro chair, but keep the
Keep the pillow. I know. God, my
pillow.
poor pillow. Jeez.
It's got character. It's got
Oh,
character. Leave it alone.
golly. Okay, well, I will let you go. But
Okay.
before I let you go, where can people find you? And is there anything that you want to let them know about in addition to Hipster Death Rattle?
Well, there's a couple of things. I will be, for just your reminder, I will be at the Sisters in Crime meeting on on September 19th. But perhaps more importantly, for anybody in your area, I will be at Sleuth Fest 2020 in Florida
Ah,
in March. I'm saying March or
where where in Florida is that?
it's in, oh God, Florida to me is Miami and uh, Panhandle. I don't remember. It's in the middle.
It's in the
Between the
middle.
middle. It's in the
Maybe
middle
it's in
there.
Orlando.
It might be Sleuthfest 2020. Look it up. But I'll be teaching there. I'll be doing a workshop once a
Oh,
day for 3 days. So I don't know if
fantastic.
it's close to you, but I will send you the information. But any of your listeners can
Yeah.
find me at Sleuthfest 2020 next year. I will be also I'll be doing some promotion for another book coming out called "The Hangman Isn't Hanging," crime fiction based on the songs of Steely Dan.
Ah.
That will be coming out in October, late October. So I have a story in there based on Ricky Don't Lose That Number.
Oh, that's
So
fantastic.
yeah, that was
One of
fun
my
to write.
kids loves Steely Dan, so that'll be
Oh,
a
okay,
must then.
cool. All right.
Yes, I hear about them all the time. Like I hate Steely Dan.
Oh,
No, not really, not really.
oh, no, all right. But yeah, so that's and then of course anybody can go to my website, and I try to keep that updated as part of this whole thing that we all authors have to do. So
Yeah, and it's your
www.
name, Richie, Narvaez.com.
Yes, richinarvaez.com. Yeah.
Great. And it'll be in the show notes. So all you have to do is scroll down and look at the show notes. If you're in your car, pull over, Overlook right now.
Yes, don't have an accident, please.
Please, yeah, don't. I can't kill yet another one. Okay,
Oh,
so
another one on your record. Yes.
another one. So thank you so much for today.
Thank you for having me on your show.
And I'll have all the links in the show notes, and I'll be right back, everybody. Okay, thanks, Richie. And I am going to have all the links that you need, his website. And if you go to his website, you will find all of his books right there, his short stories and various things that you can find. The Hipster Death Rattle is available in a lot of places. So if you're one of the anti-Amazon people, you will not have a problem getting his book. And let's see, what else? I think that's it. I have to go grocery shopping. I've been out of town off and on for the last month, and I have no food in the house, and I'm starving. So I need to get out of here. And leave a comment. We are on Instagram, and by we, I mean me. Books Cubed is on Instagram, and my ears keep clicking again. I don't know what's going on. If you wear cochlear implants, you probably understand exactly what I'm going through. It keeps clicking in my head. And then it's like this, it's like a chime that doesn't end. It's very strange. So anyway, let me know what you thought of the show. Scroll down if you are listening on the podcast. Don't forget, when you get to where you have a computer or when you get to your destination, if you're in the car, stop and click on that link in the show notes and leave your comments there. Let me know what you thought of the show. Let me know what you're reading. Let me know if you've read Hipster Death Rattle. It's a great book. Go grab it right now. If you are on YouTube, you know how to leave a comment, and I'll see you there. And I guess that's it. I'm going to go grocery shopping and try to figure out why my phone keeps clicking in my ears. It's making me nuts, and it's probably making you nuts having to hear me talk about it. So I'm going to go. You go too. Go read a good book. I'll see you next week.